Hey folks, well, welcome to the first 10-minute Tuesday for the year. This is season 4. Can you believe that? Some of you have been listening from the very start, have not missed a single episode, which is quite extraordinary. So look, I'm excited to be back talking with you all again this year. I've had an extraordinary break. I feel refreshed. Surprisingly, I've got fresh inspiration for the next book, which came a lot sooner than I thought. Interesting, when you kind of surrender to purpose and meaning, then you get drawn into something bigger than you that's not even about you, and you're kind of along for the ride. So I feel like there's a really important area of suffering to talk about that I haven't spoken about very clearly yet. So I think that talking about the human condition and particularly suffering is a consistent theme for all my work, and specifically the Insecurity Project, because people suffer greatly for not knowing how to fix this problem. And as you've gathered by now, I'm sure this is a problem that can be solved. And it's an important problem to solve because it's not just good for you to solve it, not just good for your friends and family, it's good for the world. We all win as adults, come out of insecurity into security. So let's keep talking through this. Let's keep working through this together and make it our intention as adults to show up at our best where it matters most. So today, I want to talk about hiding in plain sight, which is a really fascinating concept. And it is, in fact, the most effective place to hide. It's to hide when no one's looking for you. So, of course, you're not going to get found if no one thinks you're hiding. So an example of that would be, someone who has a penchant for lighting fires, an arsonist who's also the captain of the fire brigade. So you wouldn't think to look there. So it's a really clever strategy, and I want to unpack it a bit because it's very common. And I get that it's a touchy subject because if you're hiding, you don't want to be found. The intention of hiding is protection from danger, protection from threat. And every cell in our bodies are hardwired for self-protection. So it's a very honest and loving and kind thing to do, is to stay safe from the things that we see as dangerous. So along those lines, and no one wants to be found out. If you're hiding and someone shines a light and says, I see you, no one enjoys that. So it's a touchy subject. The reason I can get away with it is because I don't care. So I'm not here to go, look at you, you're hiding. I'm going, I can see you, and in the safety of a podcast medium, let me tell you I can see you, and let me coax you out like a little scared kitten with a saucer of milk and show you that perhaps what you're afraid of is not as scary as you thought. And if we can dial down the angst on what you're protecting yourself from, I reckon you'll end this strategy of hiding in plain sight and come out of hiding on your own accord. So that's how I'm going to approach this really touchy subject. And I think that's really important to lay that foundation first. So hiding in plain sight is the most cleverest, most well-worked protection strategy because it's so deceptive. No one thinks you're hiding. You don't even think you're hiding. So the 3 typical ways that people hide in plain sight when it comes to their own journey, firstly is in health. Extra weight, patterns of sickness, injury, illness, because typically it's really easy to complain about those things, and it seems like there is no advantage to being sick, there is no advantage to being overweight. But human psychology 101 says we only do what works. So what you discover when there are patterns of sickness and patterns of unhealth and patterns of extra weight, in every single case, it is a hideout. In every single case, it is a hideout. And what someone is hiding from is having to show up unguarded. Because if they were to show up unguarded, then they could be found out and exposed to the thing that they are most afraid of, which is being found out as inadequate. So having extra weight, having sickness, having injury, it's a layer of insulation. It dials down the expectation they place on themselves. It dials down the expectation people place on them, others place on them. And so they don't have to perform at such a high level. They have an excuse, they have a hideout, they have a barrier, and therefore stay safe. Now, all along, what makes it hiding in plain sight is then to complain about those things and to say you hate them and to be seen to be doing everything you can to improve your health and to lose weight. however, never actually lose the weight or become healthy. So it's so deceptive because you're kind of tricking yourself to stay safe. And the best strategies are driven from the unconscious without conscious awareness. So that's how these work. But useful to know that about yourself, that the body craves health. So extra weight and sickness is not natural, it's not designed. It's a clearly designed strategy to keep you safe from what you're afraid of. Second great hideout, and to hide in plain sight, is to be a student, is to be in close proximity to transformational ideas, and to be seen to be actively pursuing ideas that could change your life. So it's to read lots of books, it's to listen to lots of podcasts, it's to constantly be having conversations about this kind of stuff. But it is to show up as the student, because the student never has to really show up with any kind of vulnerability or apply any of the content. The student modality is a rational space. It's about knowledge in your head. You can be assessed as a student on whether or not you understand a concept, whether you can remember a concept, whether you can repeat a concept. Students are not tested on whether they can apply a concept or whether a concept has transformed them. That's why you can be an eternal student and never become a teacher. It's hiding in plain sight because it's very hard to call someone out hiding when they're so close to it. They're so committed to it. They're reading so much. They're listening to so much. But it's a very clever strategy because you're holding the stuff that would transform you at arm's length so that it doesn't transform you, so that it doesn't actually touch the thing you're most afraid of. Because if you were to actually apply any one of the things you're reading or listening to right now, then it would require great commitment, great surrender, great intention to address the thing you're terrified about. And because you're terrified about it, you prefer to hide. The point of this conversation is to go, well, if we can just address the fact that you are hiding, that's a first step. That honesty, the reality of being here, turning the lights on and noticing what is true about your current reality. Then to question, what are you actually hiding from? This fear of being found out. How rational is it? How logical is it? It turns out it's not very rational at all. In fact, it's all a work of fiction. What you're afraid of is your own opinion of yourself. And most precisely, you're afraid of a child's version of yourself. You're afraid of a kindergartner. That's what you're most afraid of. So let me coax you out like a little scared kitten with a saucer of milk. Tell you it's going to be okay. Third area where people hide in plain sight is language. So vocally hearing themselves and letting others hear them talk about commitment to change. And it's language of need and should. Yeah, I really need to address this. Yeah, I'm clear. I know what I need to do. I need to make time for that. I need to make space for that. I need to do this. I need to do that. Yeah, I really should stop doing that. I'm clear. I get it. I see what the problem is. I really should grow up now. I really should stop doing that. I really should make space for this in my life. It's all great language and it feels so full of commitment and intention and promise, but it's vacuous and it doesn't require anything. Saying you need to do something, just take stock of this. Just notice the stuff that's lingering on your to-do list and just notice how many times you've said, I really need to get onto that. Yeah, I really need to order that part I really need to order that new trampoline mat that's broken. I really need to mow that lawn. I really need to get back to that person. I really need to call that friend. I really need to tidy this area of my house. Why, has it helped? No, it's hiding in plain sight. You feel like you've just said something that's making you do something. You haven't said anything. In fact, you're now less likely to do it by using that language. So again, it's not fun being called out of hiding, and I can get away with it because I don't care. I'm not telling anyone that you're hiding. I won't share your secret. But between you and I, let's just be honest. I know you're hiding. You know you're hiding. And do you really need to be hiding? Is it really that scary? It's just your opinion of yourself that you're afraid of. It's not about anyone else's opinion. And it's just the opinion of a child. The more you examine it, the less weight you'll see that it has. So the opposite of hiding is surrender. And it's not a weak surrender. It's not giving up. It's giving in. It's leaning into the light. Showing up with great courage. Courage surrender is a real act of courage. But the amazing thing about courage is the longer you go down this process, the less courage you need. Because the closer you get to the things you're afraid of, the less real they are. The less scary they are, the less daunting they are. Fear unexamined grows, fear examined is diminished every day of the week.